Story 1. Boyfriend, 22 male, couldn't stop liking half-naked pictures of other women, so I, 21 female, posted one of myself. Alright, my 22 male boyfriend has started following a lot of Instagram women. Not regular ones, I don't mind those, but particularly the ones in lingerie and with their butts out. Even was watching their OnlyFans. I, a 21 female, told him it made me uncomfortable and to stop, but his response was, "It's just Instagram, you're doing too much. It's not that serious," and he kept doing it. Well, I posted some pictures of me in a G-string, butt out and all. He saw it and started freaking out, slamming doors and yelling. He was like, "Ew, you don't respect yourself. Girls who do that are hoes. That's embarrassing. I don't want my girlfriend doing that, bro. That's weird." And he's mad, like really mad. He told me to take it down and I said, "No, isn't this what you like to see?" And his response again was, "You're in a relationship. Why would you do that?" And I said, "I'm only posting what you like." After I said that, he started ignoring me, and it's been hours, and honestly, I don't care. I don't feel bad at all. For months, I was uncomfortable and asked him to stop, and he couldn't, so yeah. Now, he's a victim of a crime he participates in. Okay, yeah, no, you're not the a-hole here. I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous. Like, I don't think it's bad if, like some partners like to look at adult entertainment or scantily clad pictures or stuff like that, as long as the other's okay with it, which requires, I don't know, communication. You should be talking with your partner and you should respect their boundaries. Like, you should be setting these up beforehand. And if a partner says, "Hey, I'm not comfortable with you doing that," then either you're like, okay, or you need to have a further conversation. You can't just be like, "Well, I'm still gonna do it, shut up." And then to be following these women like the boyfriend's doing, and then get mad at your girlfriend for posting that stuff too? Like, what? No, you don't get to be a hypocrite like that. You either support those people or you don't. By the way, you should support those people. People should be able to post that stuff, I think. But once again, partners should communicate and be comfortable with what the other partner's doing, not this nonsense. But no, I will say, you voiced your opinion for months. Your boyfriend didn't listen. Also, I hope he's not still your boyfriend because he sounds like a dink. Or maybe he's gotten better. I don't know. But no, he's the a-hole. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her son is only special to her? I, a 26-year-old female, have 3 older siblings. This is about my oldest sister, Abby, female 37. Abby has a son who's 5, and I have a daughter who is 1. Abby dealt with years of fertility issues and had probably 10 plus miscarriages. Then she had her son, and of course he was Abby's miracle rainbow baby, and we were so happy for her. But then it leads to Abby spoiling her son and letting him get away with everything because he's a miracle and he's special. Everyone has always bit their tongue when it comes to her son because of that. On Saturday, I had my daughter's first birthday party. It was mostly family and a few of my close friends were invited. I invited Abby and her son because everyone else in our family was invited, so I felt bad excluding her. We had different activities for the kids to do. Abby's son didn't like any of them. He was upset none of the presents were for him. He didn't want to eat any of the food we had. He then decided to try and push the cake off the table because apparently he was mad the cake wasn't his. I got super upset at Abby for allowing her son to act that way. She went on to say her son is special. I said her son is only special to her, which is understandable, but to everyone else, he's a spoiled brat, which shouldn't be overlooked because he was your special miracle baby. Abby called me a B and left crying. A few family members have since called me an a-hole because I've never dealt with a miscarriage, so I don't understand how painful it was for Abby to deal with years of that before her son. It's not that I don't realize her son is special to her, but it doesn't give the excuse for Abby to allow him to act like a spoiled brat. I'm gonna say again, you're not the a-hole in this situation. Now, I will say, you maybe could have put it a little more tactfully, but then again, after dealing with this for years, I understand it gets a little built up. Sometimes you're just like, your kid's not special! But maybe could have been put a little more gently, but At the same time, yeah, Abby's not doing herself or her kid any favors by spoiling this kid and letting him get away with everything. That's just a recipe for her special miracle baby to turn into a really crappy teenager and maybe eventually kind of a crappy adult. It's not good parenting, so I get it. Maybe some more tact and some words. Maybe not. Maybe Abby needs to hear it that way, but apparently it didn't really get through to her. She just got crabby and left. So, I don't know. But no, I don't see what you did being an a-hole thing, because heck, I tell all of my friends that their kids aren't special. I don't have kids. Kids aren't ever. It's like, oh, it's my kid. You don't know how hard it is being a parent and everything. It's like, most people have done it. Or a lot of people. My parents did it. Their parents did it. People have been doing it forever. It's just kind of a biological imperative for most folks. So, I don't know. That's mean. Now I'm the a-hole. Oh, this is a long one. Story 3. A lawyer's pro-revenge on his boss. This opinion is crap, my boss told me. He'd been a lawyer for 3 years, and the firm assigned me to him for training to show me, junior counsel, how to be a litigator. I disliked my boss for a number of reasons. He knew no law, and he expressed himself badly in writing. For a litigator, that's like strike 1 and 2 right there, and strike 3 was this. He had no balls. He was actually scared of going to court. I noticed this when he took me to assignment court one day, and when it was his turn to speak, his hands were shaking. He was scared in effing assignment court where all you do is set a trial date. What's wrong with what I wrote? I said. Not what I asked for, he said, turning away. But when I checked the memo he'd emailed me 2 weeks earlier, I saw that the opinion I wrote was exactly what he asked for. I knew what was up. He was going to delete my dockets for writing the memo and then claim he did it himself, thus leaving quite a bit short of my docketing quota for the month. I knew that he would do this to me because he'd done it before. I knew that my memo would wind up on a partner's desk without my name on it. I knew that for a fact because the firm I worked at was one of the first in the city to have a really good internal network. We were using email for internal communications before the internet became a thing. So the firm was way ahead in terms of technology, but not in terms of security, and not long after I joined the firm, I learned how to surf away on the firm's hard drive and find interesting things, like evidence that my boss was plagiarizing my work. My boss was the very model of the young downtown lawyer. His perfect shoes always gleamed, he wore bespoke suits because he came from money. Everyone just took it for granted that he was on the partner track. I, on the other hand, was well on my way to nowhere special, so maybe he thought it was okay to F with me. If so, that was a big mistake on his part. I didn't like having my billable hours effed with. I seriously resented it, because I was already being targeted as one of the juniors who doesn't docket as much as he should, and I was getting pushback from the partner who headed our team. I told the partner what was going on, but he didn't care. It was like being back in middle school and showing up in the office with bruises on my face and the principal saying, "Boys will be boys," and sending me on my way. "You'll just have to work harder or smarter," the partner said when I reported the latest BS thing my boss did to me. I couldn't work harder. I was doing the usual 6 days a week lawyers downtown are forced to do, but I could work smarter. And that night, I thought up a plan. Christmas was coming, and I thought I'd give my boss a little present. It landed on his desk on December 24th in the form of a memo purporting to be from the partner that my boss reported to. The partner was an old guy and not really on board with emails and computers, so he did everything old school on paper. So when my boss came in on December 24th and saw a memo on his desk from the partner with a legal research assignment, that wasn't unusual. The memo was drafted in the usual form that the partner used because, of course, I had taken great pains to make sure that it looked authentic. My boss walked over to the little cubicle where the juniors worked and gave me the same memo, except his secretary had retyped it, so now the assignment was from him to me, instead of from the partner to my boss. The assignment was difficult, requiring me to do a deep dive into admiralty law, its relationship to the common law, combined with a constitutional division of powers question. "But this is a huge assignment," I whined, "and I'm going to be away. Can't you get someone else to do it? Is it really urgent?" The memo I'd forged to my boss stressed how totally urgent the situation was, but there was no way my boss could double-check with the partner because the partner left the day before on vacation. That's why I'd waited until December 24th. "No can do," my boss said. "This is a big deal. Just let HR know. Maybe they'll give you time and a half or something." He turned his back and walked away, thinking he had ruined my holidays. But he was mistaken. You see, I'd written a paper for a third-year course that was basically the same thing as the research assignment in the memo, so the only work I had to do was to find the old floppy disk with the draft on it, fiddle with it a bit, and voila! A very detailed and very long memo on an obscure point of Admiralty law, with references starting back to Lord Coke's day. So I put the memo together and took my holidays as planned. I wasn't traveling anywhere because I had no money, but I saw my family and stayed in town, and I made a point of dropping by the office during the holidays, sending an email or two, establishing that I was around, and docketing all my time for the huge amount of research I was allegedly doing. So the holidays end, and I'm sitting in my crappy little cubicle with a huge stack of work to do, and my boss comes up to me in one of his bespoke suits with a gold tie pin and cufflinks to match. He was wearing a gold watch, too. He was dressed up, even for him, trying to make an impression of some kind. "Where's that memo? You're supposed to have it on my desk when I got back. I'm going into a meeting at noon." "Just finished it this morning," I said, handing him the lengthy memo that was still warm from the printer. My boss took the memo in his hands and felt its heft, and he smiled. Then he turned and walked away without a word. Just before lunch, I heard a commotion down the hall. It was a pretty loud commotion, as such things go. A loud F! And then a door was flung open. It was the partner, and he was screaming for my boss to get his butt into his office now, right now, as in immediately. I had the pleasure of watching my boss scramble down the hall. "Just what the F is this?" the partner said, standing in the doorway to his office and holding my handiwork at arm's length with his thumb and index finger, as if he were afraid that handling it would soil him. My boss mumbling something, and then the partner ushered him inside. I heard more shouting, then the sound of muffled excuses, and then more shouting from the partner, then the door flung open again. "Called it the 90s, get your butt in here too," the partner said, and I got my butt in there pronto. "Did you write this effing memo?" the partner said. I took it from him and looked it over. "I wrote it. The cover page has been changed to remove my name, but other than that, it's mine. I spent all Christmas on it. Is there something wrong with it?" The partner exploded. "Is there something wrong with it? Something wrong? I'll tell you what's wrong. It's effing useless. Totally useless." I explained that I'd followed my boss's instructions to the letter and that I'd docketed more than 100 hours on it. At this, the partner really went nuts, and he told me to go back to my desk and fetch him the memo from my boss. I brought it to him, and when he read it, his face went red. He told me I could leave and I hauled butt out of there. From my little cubicle, I wasn't close enough to hear the full chewing out my boss got, but I heard the details through the grapevine over the next few days about how the partners were seriously peeved that my boss had wasted over 100 hours of a junior's time on a useless task that was obviously a prank. And how had my boss not realized that he was being pranked? Was he an idiot? I wasn't blamed at all, of course. I had been working under my boss's close supervision. My boss didn't get fired, but there were some good outcomes for me. For one thing, the partner told me to send him a copy of any memos I wrote for my boss, and that ended him taking credit for my work. My boss also stopped deleting my dockets for my research. Plus, I got a belated Christmas bonus for having to give up on my alleged vacation to write the stupid memo. I really hated working in that place, but whenever times were tough, I think back to the case of the forged memo, and that always brought a smile to my face. I mean, to answer the first question that we all ask in these things, look, you're not the a-hole. Clearly, you're not the a-hole in this situation. Your boss is. Your boss is a piece of crap. Like, there's no part of this where you're asking, like, am I the bad person for doing this? No. Clearly, this was, you getting back at your boss justifiably. In fact, I would say that anyone in a situation like this could learn from your deviousness because, yeah, people like that, a-holes like that who are in charge and just gaining stuff off of the backs of other people deserve to be put in their place. And you did so in a very creative way that, made you some money and, helped secure your future, I hope. And you did it all back in the 90s, you know, using computers back when they were, ooh, so shiny, so new. Oh, man. But, yeah, all in all, I'd say that's a pretty great revenge story, but you knew you weren't the a-hole, right? You knew that from the moment you wrote this. There's no question about it. Why are you even here? You're clearly the hero that we all aspire to be. All of us want to be like you, and even if it was the slightest bit cruel what you did, it was well deserved. So, I don't know. If you are an a-hole, then I think the rest of us want to be a-holes too. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.